I would like to welcome you all to this edited reprieve of the Fusion21 webinar, Covid-19, the recovery stage. The webinar was put together as part of Fusion21's desire to continue to add value to our members and supply chain partners, and we hope that this extract, involving Steve Jackson, Strategic Director of Wates Property Services, will prove insightful, thought-provoking, and aims to give you some of the very latest thinking in the sector as we prepare to enter this next stage of the pandemic. I started the webinar by asking Steve how the current crisis was impacting on Wates Property Services.
How has the crisis impacted on our organisation? Firstly, I would like to say how impressed and privileged I was to work in our sector. We had a crisis none of us had experienced before, and in the main, we worked together to resolve the issues we faced day in, day out. From a Wates perspective, number one objective was to ensure all our team was safe, the communities we work in were safe, and any health and well-being matters addressed by the teams. We immediately communicated with our customers and ensured their requirements were fully met. This ranged from making sure we had emergency cover on all our projects. We carried out void completions, FRA works, external works, and in our FM business, office management and deep cleaning services were of big demand. In addition, with 3 mobilisations due to commence on the 1st of April, we had to postpone activities on 2 of them, but we did mobilise one, welcoming 30 people to the business, all carried out following the very new Public Health England and Construction Leadership Council guidelines. We all knew how much effort it is to mobilise contracts, and it was very impressive how our team, the client's team, and our incumbent dealt with this. Cost management was also a priority, and unfortunately furloughing a lot of our staff and dealing with non-essential spend was immediately addressed across the business as we look to preserve our cash. Cash, as ever, is always an important focus. It's our ability to trade, and cash flow is vital to ensure we trade out of this crisis and have healthy contractors in a position to deliver on the return to mainstream work. I urge therefore the sector to be very conscious of this and thank all local authorities and contracting authorities out there who have worked hard with us and contractors and supply chains to pay us promptly. It's the collaboration that will improve and build great future relationships on the outturn of this crisis. One area that has maintained its momentum is procurement, and whilst dates have been pushed back, there is clearly an appetite to progress with 2020-2021 budgets, something the sector will need to stay strong. Excuse me. Our attention is now on our clients and their residents to be able to carry on. We must listen to the needs and meet the needs and wants of residents in their homes. If they don't let us in, we can't work. And as Jenny said, we need to engage with them in a very open and honest way, listen to them very carefully and deliver on their expectations. We need to work out what's needed, really. We then need to prepare our RAMs, retrain more people, induct our people and motivate the team to re-engage and do an absolute great job as we were doing previously. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. As we move from lockdown into the recovery stage, what do you see as the key risks and challenges facing Wates Property Services? And in particular, I wonder if you could focus on the issues of availability of materials and also on the availability of future labour.
Will we be ready for the outturn, especially around materials and labour resource? Well, there is a lot of optimism for a successful outturn, and quite frankly, the sooner we get back to the new norm, the better. We are in constant dialogue with our suppliers. TP, one of the largest suppliers in the UK, and our supply chain partner went through the same process as us, safety for their employees, and then a measured, supportive solution to start supplying essential services and then ramping up to normal trading operations. This very similar to a lot of our other suppliers and merchants that we use across the country. Stock levels are okay, we're told, with the exception of kitchens, plaster and PPE. It's better for us that these are alerted to us at a very early stage so that we can plan ahead. And it's the latter, PPE, that concerns us the most. If we haven't got PPE, we can't do any work, regardless of what level of materials that we have. So we just need to keep monitoring. We need to keep close to our supply chain. We need to engage with them and give them advance notice of the stock that we are going to be required. They may not have it in the local stores, but they soon can get it from their warehousing if we communicate way in advance. No point going in at the last minute demanding it. It now means a real focus on planning. Labour-wise, a lot of our direct and agency workers were furloughed. However, unlike the end of decent homes and the slowdown in the last recession, there are no alternative work streams to go into, and therefore we anticipate available resources. Indeed, we anticipate a lot of people willing and wanting to come back to work as soon as possible. We will need to ensure we have work volumes available and avoid any spikes, stroke avalanches as first predicted, as a quick fix won't be healthy. We also need to be measured. As predictions, if a second winter wave comes, we will also need to prepare with our continuity plans for that. We should also be very conscious of the sustainability of our contracting organisations and subcontractors during this time, and ensuring the correct cash is flowing will give us a fighting chance to return with strong teams in place. Never has there been a time to work collaboratively with your partners, to find the solutions to deliver great services with residents' communications on time where I'm sure they will need it most. And I know this could be difficult as our clients' budgets come under pressure and more is needed for less. And yes, there could be efficiency issues, inflation risk and time delays, but I urge us all to work together sensibly for a common goal. Reverting to contract will do no one any favours.
Thank you, Steve. And if every crowd has a silver lining, the final question is, what are the positives we can take from this crisis, and what's the learning that we can take going forward?
Positive we must take from this crisis. 1, working collaboratively. We're a sector, when facing a crisis, should be resilient and solve problems as one. We should also do this maintaining our new agile way of working. I'm sure it's made life a lot easier for some people, but a lot more difficult for others. And finding the right solution to working together, communicating well together and using our time wisely will be never more important. 2, recognition of the importance of health and safety. We need to have the consistent standards as our new norm and not want to put anyone at risk in anything they do for the sake of just getting the job done. We should learn a lot from this, and almost like putting a seatbelt on now should be a new norm for us going forward. Social value will never be more important to revisit your promises and focus on the immediate pressures. They could be the same, but they may need to change. And for instance, my top 3 would be a look at unemployment, fuel and food poverty, and the homelessness. Resetting these targets, resetting and working together, more importantly, and finding the solutions that make the difference in the communities will serve us well and strong for the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. And that brings us to the end of this reprieve of the Fusion21 Covid-19, the recovery stage webinar. I'd like to thank Steve Jackson, Strategic Director of Wates Property Services, for his contribution. Please watch the Fusion21 website for further opportunities to take part in future member webinars. Thank you.